Hi, everyone. I'm here with Sebastian. He is a Magoosh TOEFL student, and he has recently taken the at-home TOEFL exam and agreed to share his experience with us. Sebastian, before we get into the specifics of your TOEFL, why did you decide to take the TOEFL? What are your plans?
So I decided to take TOEFL because I'm looking to pursue a master degree in engineering, maybe in France, Canada, or United States. The universities there, many of them are looking for high scores on that exam. And also there are a lot of job opportunities them looking for with that test. There are a lot of companies abroad that are looking for like a certification with that exam. So that are my main interest.
And how did you feel going into your at-home TOEFL?
At first glance, I thought that it would be like a very challenging. I didn't feel like very comfortable with English. I use English in my work very often, but I thought that I have to study a lot, like to have a good score. So it was like overwhelming at first, but after studying a lot, I felt like more confident about. So it's been like a path, like a process to have a good score.
So you said that you studied a lot for it. How did you study? What materials did you use? How long did you study for? And did you take any practice tests before the exam?
Yes, I studied like a month. I tried to study like 2 hours every day. I studied from books that I had. I looked on internet, like a lot of tests, like practice tests. Also trying to learn grammar, and I think that one of the most challenging parts it's the speaking, because you can like grade like easily on listening or and in reading, but there is like no certain way to uh, like compare your speaking skills with the standard that the TOEFL is looking for. Yes, it was like a lot of books, and also with Magoosh, and still studying, especially in that point on speaking, as they have like a lot of speaking examples where you can base like your speaking for the test, um, and yet all that content is very valuable for me also. So it's like a process that I have been.
How else did you practice speaking in addition to Magoosh? You said it was hard because um, it's hard to get feedback on speaking. So, did you
Mhm.
find a partner you could practice with or an online resource?
Um, for me, it's pretty difficult because here where I live in Colombia, I don't have like many English speakers to practice. So the only option I got is to speak myself at home alone, trying to hear conversations or hear to speeches or news, and then trying to make opinions on that and speaking to myself. And also with all the exercises that Magoosh has, which are pretty comparable to the ones of the TOEFL test.
So, going back to your actual at home TOEFL experience, when you were first signing up to take the at home test, what was that process like? Was it easy to sign up? Were you able to get the day and time you wanted? That sort of thing.
Yeah, so for me it was like a bit confusing. Once I paid the TOEFL on the ATS webpage, for like making the appointment, because I had to wait like 2 hours, to like in my email, they sent you like a code, a personal code to register for the appointment in Proctor. Um, but that was like not specified in ETS webpage, or and for me it was like a bit confusing. Then in the test date, I had my appointment like at 7 a.m. Um, so I connected at that time, but I didn't know where to actually like enter, or to go, in which page to launch for the test. So I spent like 20 minutes looking for it, and at the end I found that I had um, to log in Proctor, and then from that point is where you start like the test. But there were like no clear instructions from the ETS page, like from what to do to launch the test.
That sounds a little confusing. So, when you logged on to ProctorU, that's when you were connected with your proctor and you were able to chat with them to set
Mhm.
up the actual test experience.
Yes, exactly. um, because you have to install in your computer a program called also ETS TOEFL, something like that, where the proctor you have to write like a code they have, like to to launch the test. But I didn't know that that process had to be done by the proctor personnel. So I tried to do by myself on that ETS program, and I couldn't find a way. So it was pretty confusing. So yes, the start point for start the test is proctor.
And once you connected with ProctorU and you got set up with the actual test, you did is that when you did the security check? And what was that like?
Yes, they they ask you like some questions about your identity. They tell you to show your ID, your passport, and so they check your name, your ID number, um, and that's a process that may take like 5 to 10 minutes, while they ensure that you are the person that is shown in your ID.
And after showing your ID, did you have to show the room that you were taking the test in?
Yes. So I have to show like all the room around. So they have to be sure that you are alone in the room. Um, they check like all the stuff around. Also, I have like a bookshelf in my room. Um, when they saw that uh, bookshelf, they um, asked me to cover all those books with clothes. Um, so it took me like 10 minutes to do that. and also to clear like all the things that I had in my desk. So you only uh, can like have your piece of paper and your marker, and like I erased like my notes with a piece of cotton, but that's the only thing that you can have in your desk.
To take notes, so you said you had a piece of paper. Was it like a whiteboard or was it a piece of paper in a laminate to make it a whiteboard?
It was a piece of paper. For me, it was like more comfortable to use it. Um, and yes, I only used like that, a marker, an erasable marker, and a piece of cotton to erase all my notes. It was like easy to do it. Also, they ask you at the end of the test to erase all your notes um, before they finished.
So, besides the setup and the security check, how was the actual exam? Have you taken the TOEFL in a testing center before? And you can compare it to that experience, or just in general, taking it at home? How did you feel about that?
So this was like my the TOEFL home edition was the first time I took the test. Um, and it feel like the first time I was very nervous, and I think that it's difficult to manage like that uh, that that in your head, like you think that it will be like pretty difficult, but um, it is not like helpful. uh, After the second time that I took the test, it was like easier for me. I know what to expect from every section. What I can say is that the all the sections are pretty similar to the actual practice test that you find, for example, in Magoosh.
Nice. And the sections were the same, the format was the same?
Yes, it was like pretty similar. Yes, I I I, I didn't find like any difference uh, with that.
Did you take any breaks during the exam?
Yes, after completing the reading and the listening section, I had about 10 minutes to have a break. I could only like stay in my room. You cannot like uh, go away or get out of the room. You cannot like speak with anyone. So you have to stay in the room and uh, like try to be uh, yes, but only with yourself.
So we talked about this before we started recording. If you were comfortable sharing your score, and you are, so would you go ahead and tell our students what did you get, and if you know the breakdown?
Yes, I scored 87 on the whole score, 15 on speaking. That was like the lowest. 21 on listening. Um, 21 on listening. 20 27 on reading, and 20 like 23 in writing, I think. So I yes, I have to improve a lot my speaking because I was my goal was 100 of score. Um, so yeah, I have to a lot of things to improve now.
So does that mean you're planning on taking it again if you're still working to improve, or are you going to take a break?
Actually, I presented the last time I presented the home edition was on August, and from that I have been like preparing for this test during October. So I am planning to present it on November. And yes, I'm working a lot on speaking, and on writing also, uh, because my goal is to have like a 100 or 110 um, in the whole score.
Nice. So, how have you been practicing now? Has that changed from when you were studying before, or are you doing the same sort of things?
Yes, I have like changed some things. I try to listen everything I can in English. Um, as I told you, I try to speak to myself like 1 hour or half an hour after work here in my room, um, to improve my speaking. And I like a lot to write and to read. Those are like two passions. So it is like more easy for me to improve those skills. They're like it's like natural for me to read. But yes, as I am in Spanish speaking country, that's for sure the most challenging thing, and that's what I try to improve more.
Yeah, I can imagine that would be tricky. I know that our TOEFL expert, Lucas, he always recommends students listen to the radio and um, TV shows to get to just hear more words and the accent. I know I do that when I try to learn languages too, but it's hard.
hmm hmm Yeah, definitely. I love the American accent of English, um, because it's and they have like a lot of like that words that only you speak, that they're like
Oh, slang.
slangs. Yes, that's a word. And also I am also preparing for the GRE, so it's and I am also doing it with Magoosh. So the writing and the reading, it's like more deep in the content of the vocabulary, and on the structure of what you have to write. So it's also a compliment for me in order to improve my score in TOEFL for sure.
Wow, well, you're studying for a lot right now. So good luck. Is there anything else that you would want to share with the students watching this before we sign off?
I just would like to recommend everyone that's looking or that's interested in taking the TOEFL exam, that really, if you want like a high score, like really try to improve every skill as much as you can, especially those ones in where you are weaker, um, and also be curious, learning new things. I think that in English, you can find but a lot of content in many things. I think that I haven't found in Spanish like half of the content that I can find in English. There is a lot of things in engineering, biology, like all the knowledge is now uh, concentrated in English. So uh, you have to take advantage of it, like personally, and also for a TOEFL if you want to present it.
Yeah, that's great advice. And some of the resources you mentioned, I'm going to link them in the video description. So if you're watching this, you can scroll down and you'll see some of the resources and anything I can find too. I know we have a blog post where we list websites where you can find material in English, but on a variety of topics. Sebastian, thank you so much for meeting with us today. If you want to try out Magoosh TOEFL Prep 2 and you're watching this, I will also include a coupon code below for 20% off. It's going to be TOEFL Home 20, TOEFL Home all together and 20. All
Okay.
right,
Okay.
great
Thank you very much.
chatting. Thank you.